you know, making a show, of course, is complicated. The spaces here aren't the easiest in the world. There are some that very readily lend themselves to almost any work, and others that are require much more. But I think difficult spaces actually really help in making a show, because one has to be very particular about what's going where. So one of the things Lisanne wanted me to do was to have some element of retrospect, so to speak, in this show. I wanted, I mean, I'm, I feel relatively young and I'm still making work, of course. So I'm not that interested in doing retrospectives. But I wanted it to be a kind of survey that would allow the development of certain ideas. So we have some pigment works, touching on a few ideas that I think are fundamental to me, like the notion of the object without hand, the object that, if you like, is sort of there almost by auto-generated by its own volition. So that's one thing that we take through other works in the show. Then the idea, of course, of colour as material, as stuff, but stuff that is always illusory. So pointing at this notion of the object that isn't fully what you expect it to be, or isn't always as it describes itself. So the object, which sits somewhere between painting and sculpture, between an illusion and a real thing. So that goes into some mirror works and other things. So we've tried to hold on to thematic questions rather than date questions, is what